So if you're one of those many people that try to eat healthy and find that it's challenging sometimes to have the time and the effort to do meal prep, and also find it kind of monotonous when it comes to a variety, you're in the right spot. I'm Isaac Karachepone, and I'm a chef here at Stanford Health Care. And I'm going to show you how to take some basic ingredients and make them into components that you're going to mix and match and create some unique, delicious meals that are heart healthy, but also really tasty. So we're going to have about 5 ingredients that we are going to repeat, but in different forms. Now, to keep it heart healthy, we need to reduce certain things like sodium. But how we're going to make up for that is to add spices. We've got turmeric, we've got paprika, we've got pepper. We're going to use garlic. We're going to use herbs like tarragon and chives to infuse those flavors, so it's going to be amazing. Salmon is versatile, it's easily available, and it's tasty. It has omega-3 fatty acids, and it's a great source of protein. So we're going to start by taking the salmon, just patting it dry so it has a surface that can actually grab the seasoning. I am going to season it with pepper first. I want to start with a base recipe and allow you the freedom and creativity to kind of change things up. And that also is true for the ingredients themselves. For example, broccoli and cauliflower, not your thing, but you prefer Brussels sprouts. Well, there you go. You can do the same thing with Brussels sprouts. To go back to the salmon, once I have the salmon seasoned and we've got a little bit of the oil and lemon juice mixture, I've got it in a pan. It's time for it to go into the oven. I'm going to move on to the next ingredient and create the component of roasted sweet potatoes with paprika. Why sweet potato? Again, it's very versatile, it's gluten-free, and it's tasty. And as far as nutrients, you've got beta carotene in there, good for vision, lots of minerals. We're going to start with a sweet potato that we are going to peel before we dice it into 1-inch cubes. All right, so we've got this in here. I'm going to put a little paprika. Paprika does not have the spice, but it does have a little bit of that smoky element. And I'm just going to put a little bit olive oil, mix it up. Once we've seasoned the sweet potatoes with some paprika, black pepper, and oil, we lay it out on a sheet tray. Try to get as much surface to touch the sheet tray itself, and it's ready to go into the oven. So the next component that we are going to prepare and demo is going to be charred broccoli and cauliflower. Both those ingredients are high in fiber. They are rich in vitamin C and micronutrients, and they're also easily available and versatile in what you can do with them. Here we have some broccoli. You kind of want to cut the pieces to be about 1.5 inches. What you are looking for is consistency in size, because it'll cook evenly if they are pretty close in size. So one of the things that we are going to add to the broccoli is garlic, pepper, and a little bit of oil. Again, I'm looking to put cut surfaces down. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the cauliflower. So you got some pepper in there, a little bit of garlic, some oil. So all I need is the turmeric. So once you have the cauliflower and the broccoli seasoned and ready to go on a sheet tray, you're going to put it in a 450-degree oven for about 7 to 8 minutes. So the next component for our demo is of honey mustard vinaigrette. The way that I like to do it is to do it in a mason jar. In this case, I'm just using a bottle with a sealable cap for a couple of reasons. One is that I'm lazy, and so to put everything in one container, less to wash, this is the way to go, because you can mix it up, emulsify it whenever you need it, put it back in the fridge, and it's good to go for 2 weeks. Mustard, in this case, Dijon mustard, certainly brings the body to the dressing itself. We've got honey that kind of plays off the zing that the mustard brings. You're going to get a little sweetness to it. Use apple cider vinegar. In this case, it's organic apple cider vinegar. It also brings up a little point about foods, and it's your preference as to what kind of ingredients you use. But we absolutely here at Stanford Health Care love the idea of local. We love the idea of sustainable. These are core philosophies when it comes to food service for us. So to use something that's local, that's seasonal, that's sustainable is the way to go for us. So in this case, we're using some organic apple cider vinegar and some olive oil. Now, if you didn't want to use olive oil and just use a vegetable oil, you could. So I'm going to just put a little pepper in there and then just go to town. Shake it up. We've got honey mustard coming up, and you just want to make sure that you emulsify it. The good thing about mustard and honey is that they're really good emulsifying agents because of the thickness of it, just like mayonnaise might do. Help make the dressing itself thicker, but also hold the more liquid ingredients in there, like vinegar and oil. So once we get this kind of mixed in, honey is always the thing that takes a little longer to get incorporated. It's a good workout. And we're going to use this in our demo in a couple of different instances. One as a salad dressing, but we're also going to glaze the salmon for the entree, just to give it that little bit extra flavor. Now the frittata is basically an omelet. We're going to finish it in the oven. If you like to get a little browning, you can always put it under the broiler for about a minute at the end of it. So we're going to use the charred broccoli, the cauliflower with turmeric, the sweet potatoes with paprika, some garlic, oil, and 2 eggs. So first let me just whisk these 2 eggs with a little pepper. So we want to incorporate a little air into this to try to get it as fluffy, and you could use a fork if you prefer. Meanwhile, we're going to start chopping some of these vegetables to make them a little bit more bite-sized so it fits in the frittata a little better. And the same thing for the sweet potatoes. I'm just going to saute a little garlic before we put this in the oven. You want the pan to get hot before you add the garlic. I am going to add this as I turn the fire off into the pan. And we're going to put this into a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes. The last item that I'm going to demo here is the croquette. And I've got a couple of ingredients that I've listed as optional, and one of them is breadcrumbs. Now, if you want to keep it gluten-free, you could just leave the breadcrumbs out. It really depends on the consistency of the croquette itself. If it is really wet, you do want to kind of dry it out. All right, so to start with, I am going to crack an egg. I'm only going to need about half an egg or less for a portion. I am going to quickly chop all the vegetables that I have. When it comes to the sweet potatoes, I'm just going to put a little bit in there, and what you're doing is trying to mash the sweet potato a little bit. It's going to be the binding agent basically for this croquette. And I am going to add the vegetables. I want to add the salmon at the end so it doesn't completely flake, but it's okay if it does. It's still going to incorporate that flavor into every bite, if you will. Meanwhile, I'm just going to cut some chives and some tarragon and use half of it here. We've added the vegetables in there. We've added the herbs. I need to add a little pepper. I'm going to add half that egg in there before I add the salmon. The major prep of these components can be done on the first day. At the end of that prep, you could eat the salmon entree because that would be all hot. And the rest of it can be cooled, and it doesn't take more than 10 minutes of prep time, that is, plus whatever cooking time is needed, to mix them all together again and have another fresh meal. The usual order I think of is the first day you go with the baked salmon, with charred broccoli and cauliflower, the sweet potatoes with paprika, and a little honey mustard glaze on the salmon. On the second day, you do the spinach salad with the salmon. On the third day, you do the frittata, and the fourth day, you do the croquette. But You can change that up any which way you want. So you can make it a rather large croquette if you prefer, or you can make smaller croquettes. Once I have the croquettes made, I'm just going to put them in a pan and put them into the oven. So the last component or ingredient actually that is part of the croquettes dish that does require cooking is sauteed spinach with garlic. So I'm going to get a pan going and I'm going to add a little bit garlic. Just want to wilt the spinach just a little bit, not completely get all the moisture out of it. We've done the demos for all these items, these components that we are going to put together now and plate into 4 different meals. All right, so we just start with a little bit of sweet potatoes. Now again, these are just suggested serving. Going back to what we were talking about as far as preferences and allowances based on the diet, you really can make this something that you absolutely love eating, because that's probably the healthiest diet that you're going to stick with, something that you like. And there you have it. The next dish that we have is the frittata. There's not much to it. It comes out from a pan. You can cut it into quarters. You can cut it into halves. There is some chives and tarragon in that frittata, so I just wanted it to be represented by the chives on top. The next item that we have is the spinach salad with salmon, still using the sweet potatoes that are roasted with paprika, the charred broccoli and cauliflower, and the dressing is going to be the honey mustard dressing. And so you have the salad over here. There are a couple of optional items, and I wanted to incorporate some healthy fats from nuts. And I also wanted to put in some kind of dried fruit, but of course the sugar makes it optional. So I've got some dried craisins, which I'll just put a little bit because I love the color difference and the texture, and a little bit of walnuts. Now keep in mind that both these are not in the original recipe and they're optional, but I wanted to give a little bit different flavor to it. We're going to finish this demo with the croquettes. Now, I've sauteed some spinach with some garlic in there, and that's going to be the palette for this dish. And we are just going to put those 3 croquettes on top there, and that's it. And so here we are. We've gone through the process of talking about the ingredients and putting them together and creating components that we've mixed and matched to make these 4 different menu items. And here's the true test. We've got people to taste it. We've got doctors here from Stanford Health Care to talk all about the looks, the taste, but also keeping in mind that this is a heart-healthy meal. So I'll start with you, doctor. Just from the appearance, what do you think about some of these? Do they look appetizing? Are they vibrant? What is your take on this?
They look delicious, and I have to say that having the rainbow of colors really makes a huge difference both in how it looks and how it tastes, and that's one of the essential components of having a healthy meal.
Chef Isaac, I think you did a great job, and I would echo what Dr. Kush said, and that is that it looks appetizing, and that is really important. What I'm really excited about is the fact that everything here is healthy. And just because it's healthy doesn't mean that it doesn't taste good, doesn't look good, and also it doesn't take forever to make.
I think you raise a good point. I mean, in our busy lives, it's hard to prepare a magnificent meal like this day in and day out. But I'm excited by the possibility. It's a great opportunity to highlight the role of families in our patients' heart health. We share what we eat with the people we live with. And so for our patients to adhere to a heart-healthy diet, it really takes the buy-in of everyone in the household. And we're indebted to the patients' families for that.
For sure, this is something that we can prep on one day and then utilize for the next 4 days with minimum heating or cooking time to just make those croquettes or make them into a frittata, because you've got all the prep done. So that really gives you some variety to not have a monotonous palate while you're eating, but it's really using the same healthy ingredients. So I thank you if you want to start tasting it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Bon appetit.
We've got through making those ingredients into components and mixing and matching to make heart-healthy dishes. And I hope that what you took from this demo was the efficiency. It doesn't have to take a lot of time to make a variety of different dishes, and they all continue to be healthy for you. So as much as I enjoyed it, I hope you enjoyed watching it too. I want to thank Clinical Nutrition and the doctors at Stanford Health Care for tasting. They obviously enjoyed it. So thank you and goodbye.